Hello and welcome to the new installment of Digital Emotions. Today we are going to talk about how people are dealing with political victories and defeats on social media. Or more specifically, what kind of emotional content people share on Twitter after political events.
Most political events will at the end see one winning side that is celebrating their victory, as well as one losing side that is disappointed and angry about the results. Most of the research that focused on which content goes viral during political events has focused on the political defeats, finding that the most viral content is the one expressing strong negativity. However, we have not yet analyzed what kind of content is shared in the winning group. It is fair to assume that if people are happy about the political event, that they would share their happiness with other people. However, we do not have any empirical evidence for this.
Of course, it doesn't sound intuitive that people in political celebrations would share negative content. So next we need to answer the question, why would people even share negative content despite the fact that they are celebrating? And now we are going to dive into some theories that would actually suggest or support the idea that people would share negativity. And the first of them is the negativity bias.
The negativity bias is a deeply ingrained tendency to pay more attention to negative stimuli. This might have been an evolutionary advantage as it allows us to spot dangers earlier. But in this particular case, it might lead us to notice the negative tweets more than the positive content, consequently leading us to share more negative content compared to positive content, even in political celebrations. The second reason why people might share more negativity is the result of an unfortunate development. Members of political groups in the US dislike each other more than they like their own in-group. This means that if you want to demonstrate that you indeed belong to a party, the best way of showing belonging is to share how much you dislike the others, an effect that we call outgroup animosity.
People now might be wondering, how can we analyze what kind of emotional content people share on social media? In the future, I plan to have an entire video on how to analyze social media data, but here is a quick summary of what we did in this particular study.
In order to find out which emotional content is most viral in political events, we first need to get these tweets about the political events from Twitter. To do so, we request all tweets that used a certain hashtag during the time of the event. Once we have the tweet, we can extract two important types of information. First of all, the most important one, we will extract the level of virality of a tweet, which is measured by the number of retweets. Second of all, we're going to measure how emotional each tweet was using natural language processing and automated tools like sentiment analysis to extract how positive and negative each tweet was. This finally allows us to draw the association between the use of language and the level of virality that a tweet can achieve. This meant that we had to first select events and the associated hashtags of people supporting the outcomes of this event. We started with the 2016 presidential election that saw Donald Trump and the Republicans winning. On Twitter, Republicans used hashtags such as MAGA and Trump Train to express their feelings about the victory, while Democrats expressed their contempt using hashtags like #NotMyPresident. Following the week of the election, we collected around 350,000 tweets from Democrats and around 280,000 tweets from Republicans. So let's dive into the findings. Starting with the findings during the political defeats. In the following graph, we will now show how much the average number of retweets was influenced by the use of positive and negative language. We found that an increase in negativity also increased virality, while an increase in positivity did not. During the celebrations, we found a very similar pattern, showing that virality was increased for negative tweets and not for positive tweets. It is also interesting to note that in political defeats, people received more retweets in general, regardless of emotionality of their content. To understand why people would share negativity, even in political victories, we need to look into the actual content and the topics that people were talking about during the political celebrations. We are now looking into the words that were most used in tweets that received the highest number of retweets. In tweets using positive language, the words Donald Trump, happy and love were used in the most viral tweets. While in the negative language tweets, we see a lot of terms that describe a common rhetoric used during the election campaign that painted liberals and the media as opponents who were hateful and used lies to gain power. To summarize our findings, which emotional content is more viral? We found in political defeats as well as celebrations, negativity was associated with an increase in retweets. What topics make emotional content more viral? If you wanted to use positive language, the terms that you can use to achieve a high number of retweets are fairly unspecific. However, if you want to use negative language, especially content that either mocked the political outgroup or antagonized the political outgroup, were rewarded with a high number of retweets.
Of course, these findings do have implications for real life and how social media can influence our society. For example,
now imagine that after every political event, people of the celebrating group as well as people of the defeated group would share more negative content antagonizing the political outgroup. This will lead them to further drift apart from each other and further increase the fight between them. This concludes this episode of Digital Emotions. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out with any of the social media links and find the article that this presentation was based on in the description of this video.